From iRacing's virtual Crandon International Off-Road Raceway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the final race of this 2022 General Tire eShort Course Triple Crown, fueled by Fistful of Bourbon. We have been coast to coast so far this season at some of the most historic short course and road courses in the United States. And tonight, we close out the 2022 Triple Crown here from the Big House in Crandon. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special presentation of iRacing on CBS Sports, where, as always, alongside of myself, Evan Posocco, happy to be joined by Jim Beaver in the broadcast booth. And Jim, we were just talking earlier that we always kick things off with the World Cup. It's the big event, but the field of drivers here tonight are ready to put on a show.
Oh, man, are they? We are at the Big House, the biggest, baddest off-road track in the entire world. And, man, this is a star-studded lineup of drivers here. Like you said earlier, normally the World Cup's where we bring in all the celebrities over the star power. But tonight, I got to think this one eclipses the World Cup. I mean, guys like Jim Dechamp and Travis Pastrana. We've got Connor Daly. I mean, we've got Sheldon Creed, along with the best sim racers in the world. This has got me excited. I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen.
Basically, drivers representing all forms of the major motorsports here in America. And as always, tonight we will also be joined by Tiffany Stone, who's going to be checking in with the drivers over the course of the afternoon. And Tiff, it's going to be back virtually at the Big House. I know a lot of drivers looking for some redemption from the events that we've had in years past.
Exactly, and the Big House is exactly what it is. It's the Big House. We have such an amazing track out there, and if you haven't been able to see it in person, you definitely need to. The one thing that this track is really known for is the blue groove that is going to start later on once the drivers are out there. So once that blue groove hits, it's going to be anybody's race because anything can happen there, and I'm super excited for tonight's race. Just like Jim was saying, we have a star-studded field of drivers, including sim drivers and real-life drivers that are coming together to take that top spot.
There are currently 50 virtual truck drivers ready to go racing here tonight. They're going to have to fight their way through some heat races to get to a feature race and eventually fight their way into a Triple Crown win here tonight. Let's take a live look in at qualifying, and this is very critical, Jim. It's going to set the order for the heat races that will determine our main event here tonight. 5 minutes, open queue, one truck on track at a time. That's the beauty of the sim, is everybody can qualify at one time, but they get the track to themselves, so you're not worried about somebody else screwing up your lap time. There's no excuse here. Go down and put a heater in.
Yeah, we're going to look here at Keith Jeffrey in the Fistful of Bourbon General Tire entry. And, like you said, this qualifying is crucial as we get a look there at the 199 of Travis Pastrana. But with over 50 drivers trying to qualify their way in, I mean, this is absolutely so important to get that lap in, start up front, and not have to worry about battling from the back.
And there's a live look in with Travis racing in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. A couple of sim rigs set up in that room. We'll be taking several looks at those unique perspectives with all of these drivers over the course of the race. Jim Dechamp, of course, going to be somebody else we'll be watching, and we'll be able to keep an eye literally on how those two and everybody else is doing here tonight. But no surprise, Travis in the 199. We talk about, some of the talent from the ranks of NASCAR and IndyCar, 2 wheels and 4 wheels. But when we do these sim events here on the iRacing Motorsport Simulator, Jim, the conversation is always real world pro versus sim pro, and there are some of the very best in sim racing here, past winners over the years in this Triple Crown, looking for redemption, and they are not going to take it easy, even if the people that they're racing against may be some of their motorsports idols.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things here is a lot of these, these sim racing pros, they've looked up to a lot of these real-world drivers their entire careers and, their entire lives. Now they're getting a chance to bang doors and do battle, and I got to tell you, that's some bragging rights. At the end of the day, you can beat Travis Pastrana at anything. That's a big deal. So, mark my words, these drivers are taking this serious. But on the flip side, you got a guy like Travis Pastrana. Travis doesn't go into anything without wanting to win. He's here to have a little bit of fun. He's going to have a ton of fun with his buddy Jim Dechamp in the same room. Probably a little trash talking, but I got to bet Travis, he's raced here at Crandon in the real world multiple times. He is taking this very, very seriously.
Much like we've seen out of Travis in the real world, he is not afraid to jump behind the wheel of anything here virtually either. We've seen him try just about every form of virtual motorsports here on iRacing, and certainly loves racing these Pro 4 trucks that were back in this afternoon. Of course, over the last couple of events here, we saw last time out, it was Steven Wilson, an eNASCAR pro, who won on the paved road at Belle Isle for the Triple Crown Pro 2 event. We've seen the likes of Connor Berry, Josh Edmondson get race winners in the World Cup. So 3 different winners so far in 2022. What do we see here tonight from the virtual Crandon International Raceway? Tell us more about this one, Jim. Clock it in at 1.5 miles in length, 8 corners, and it is, of course, a dirt surface.
Yeah, 8 corners, but we got to talk about one corner in particular. It is called the most exciting corner in all of motorsports. Turn number 1 at Crandon. These Pro 4 is going to be hitting that corner 5, 6, 7 wide at 100+ miles an hour. It is exciting. Hearing that horsepower rumble, the truck sideways, tapped out, going down in front of the grandstands. In the real world, about 50,000 people pack in here. Here virtually, well, not quite as many, but you've got some really technical tight corners in the midsection, and then you stretch out the legs in one of the longest stretches in all of short course racing down that backstretch into a hairpin corner. Crandon, it's got a little bit of everything. It's got the big jumps, the big turns. It's got tight, technical, twisty corners, and trust me, drivers are going to have to take all of their skills in here at Crandon.
Stick around when we come back. The start of the last chance qualifier at Crandon.
General Tire was born more than 100 years ago, right here in America. We've spent the last century tackling every kind of road this country has to offer, and especially the places without roads. So you know that with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
One fistful of bourbon.
Who's doing that?
It ain't just a bourbon, it's a damn fistful.
Let's take a look at your General Tire starting grid, therefore, for LCQ number 2. Cross Kirkmeyer and Christopher Plumley will lead us to it, with Proudfoot, Morris, and Rockefeller at the top 5. Hunter Carpenter, Victor Aldrich, you got Greg Johnson, James Watson, and Jeffrey Eddy, your top 10 on the front row. And then at Kyle O'Danick, you got Travis Pastrana, Blake Reynolds, Josh Clogg, Trent Dinkle, and Adam Alderton, your 16 truck grid, ready to go racing in LCQ number 2.
Ready to go racing. I think, one to watch in this one is definitely going to be that 199 of Travis Pastrana. You know Travis, he puts on a show. If he's not going to have a chance to qualify in, he's sure going to make it exciting. So I'm keen in on that 199, but got some heavy hitters in Plumley, Proudfoot, guys like that who didn't qualify into the heats. This is going to be an exciting one.
The big green A, green flag in the air. We are off and away for the land rush start. You can see inside positioning, early lead for Cross Kirkmeyer. There's going to be contact behind, another driver up and over. This time it's Brandon Proudfoot. One of the favorites is on his lid at the start of this LCQ. That's a big hurt for him. Kirkmeyer will lead atop Watson second and Trent Dinkle right now in third, but ample drivers trying to get to him. Miles Morris included right there in fourth. Going to look to the inside for the transfer.
Yeah, look at that, clean through the gravel pit. I'm surprised we didn't even see any slide jobs as they go up and over that legendary leap into that final gazebo corner up. And there's the bumping and banging we're expecting.
Knew it was coming at some point, and a little bit methodical there, trying to move those trucks up in front out of the way. Side by side between the 25 and the 34 machine. That battle right now for 6th, though. So both Morrison and Clog have some work to do. They all need to find Alderton, who had an incredible start. Jim started 16th position. That's last place, but he is already in the transfer spot up to 3rd. So a great start for Adam Alderton.
Yeah, great start for Alderton. As Dinkle and Alderton, your top 3, but you got to be watching that number 36 of Plumley, that bright purple truck. Been wicked quick all season long in the Triple Crown. Finds himself in the LCQ trying to hunt down that final transfer spot.
And pulling, in fact, is trailing the likes of Dinkle and Kirkmeyer, but Alderton pretty comfortable right now. The funding is all behind for 4th on back. Christopher Plumley, somebody else who was not expecting to be in this position after Plumley started 3rd, raced up front in his heat race, but remember, made heavy contact with the fence in heat race number 1, damaged his truck. He eventually fell all the way out and out of a transfer spot with some work to do in 4th. They're on board there with Alderton, looking up to the first placed and second place trucks up the road. But Plumley has started to separate himself a little bit from Clog and Company 5th on back and is setting his sights on 3rd, looking really fast right now in the 36.
Yeah, looking bad fast there at the 36. Just on the hunt as we see these trucks really stretch their legs down this back stretch and then shut it down into the tightest corner on the track. Man, what a great corner there for the number 27 Alberton.
We mentioned earlier just the different ways you can take that. You can hug it tight and try to get the position it in, try to park the bus, if you will, right? Slide in front of somebody else, take their line away, and execute a slide job. You can go wide onto the bank and try to get the run off of the corner, carry speed through, and then try to catch them the next time down. So there's very differing mindsets on how drivers want to approach that corner, and very clearly no consensus because we see about 30 different lines every time a truck goes through that part of the racetrack. Is 8th on the back again, hyper competitive. We did see some contact. We saw a couple of trucks up and over. You can see Proudfoot and Odanik out of this race early, but so far this thing has raced itself out and now fighting for the lead, and a bump and run there for Trent Dinkle, who will move cross Kirkmeyer out of the way and takes away P1.
Man, almost catastrophic there for Kirchmeyer, too. Went up on the bike, able to bring it back down, but Dinkle, what an aggressive move, made it stick. Impressive.
And now you have to wonder, is there going to be a response from the 75 of Kirchmeyer? Is he going to get back to him? Does he want to be aggressive? Remember, as it sits, all 3 of these lead trucks are in the show. How much is it worth to you? Kirchmeyer looked to the bottom that time, didn't execute. He stays in line. You can see 1, 2, and 3 comfortably ahead of the rest of the field. And I've said it once, I'll say it a dozen times. Do you settle for just being happy enough, or do you want some more? And what risks are you willing to take as 1st, 2nd, and 3rd are all 2+ seconds up on 4th on back? Plumley starting to slow and in fact falling back into the clutches. Josh Clog and company, as you can see even further on down the road. Cool onboard shot there with Blake Reynolds, who is back in P9.
That is Blake Reynolds, one of my NASCAR drivers. Looks like he's advertising our airings on CBS Sports. Yes, really excited that all of our Triple Crown, courtesy of General Tire and Fistful of Bourbon, will be on CBS Sports this year.
A good-looking car, too. I think that's the most air he wants his NASCAR stock car to get this year, is when it's painted on the truck. And of course, hoping that the entire Jim Beaver Esports crew has a successful 2022 campaign with the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series that's going to be taking place all season long here on the iRacing service. Those drivers racing for more than $300,000 in prizes, and one truck flipping in front of them. That was James Watson. Watson got absolutely hip-checked as he got sent into the corner there. I believe it was by Glenn Rockefeller Jr., who sent him for a ride, and just goes to show you these drivers taking advantage late in this race. As we look off the back of your race leader, Trent Dinkle right now running away with the lead here in the closing laps of LCQ number 2.
Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll see who qualifies into tonight's feature race.
Rigid Chase Lite incorporates 5 modes, including stroke, brake, running, courtesy, and reverse in a compact 7-inch by 2-inch fixture. The Rigid Chase attaches to any roll bar or flat mounting surface, and users can control each of the multiple functions independently. The Rigid Chase is one more way for off-road enthusiasts to own the night.
Yeah, look at that, all the way on the bottom, the number 75 in the gravel pit, not able to do it. Dinkle slamming the door, had that momentum on the outside run. That's going to protect going into this really tight gazebo corner here. You can see the gap just widen and the horsepower on this Pro 4 as Dinkle just drops the hammer coming out of these corners.
So smooth as well. You can see his eyes, looking up to the next corner. One thing I'm noticing as well is there's the occasional glance up, but he doesn't seem that worried, Jim, with looking in the rearview mirror. He seems pretty confident that if he hits his marks, those two aren't going to get to him.
Yeah, if he hits his marks, I think he's got it made in the shade as we're about halfway through this final lap. He knows he's pretty safe. Even if he concedes a position or so, he's still going to make it safely into that main event. And right now, these drivers are just trying to qualify into that main event. All of them going to be regulated to that last row. So whether you're first, second, or third, I don't think it really matters at this point.
And final sets of corners here as we watch the 27 of Adam Alderton, the final transfer spot. Can he hang on for 2 more corners? They're going to go into turn 7, kind of a wide sweeping, one of the wider hairpins that are on the track here tonight. They're going to go over one more jump. It'll set the trucks up a little bit right here to slide into the right-hander for turn number 8, and that is going to be it for the LCQ. Up front, Dinkle hangs on, Kirkmeyer 2, and Alderton 3, all successfully into the main event.
Man, move of the race had to have been that move that Dinkle put on Kirkmeyer for the lead. What an aggressive move, made it stick, and beautiful, beautiful pass.
It's an impressive run, and those drivers are going to have an opportunity to fight for the feature race here tonight. We take a look at your General Tire full race results. As mentioned, Dinkle, Kirkmeyer, and Alderton are in. That means that Clogg, Plumley, Reynolds, Rockefeller, Aldrich, Watson, Pastrana all going home, along with Eddy, Morse, Johnson, Proudfoot, and O'Danick. Those are a lot of heavy hitters, drivers who we have seen compete in these feature races in the past, not going to do it here tonight. And because of all of the drivers that have been attempting to qualify, we mentioned it earlier tonight, more than 50 trucks in the field means that we have 2 sets of LCQs. So we take a look at your General Tire starting grid for the C main, your top 3 drivers advancing on in these positions based on how they finished in the heats. So Retzlaff, Larson, Booth, Bodio, Teal, Hernquist, Biased, Vanderbush, Leroy, and Guest all on the front row. It'll put Cooper, Dechamp, Long, Knowles, Parise, and Aish to the back. And I'll tell you what, Jim, big names here. We talked about Kyle Long. We talked about Connor Parise, Jim Dechamp. I mean, all those heavy hitters on row 2, not even in the top 10 here for this first of 2 LCQs.
Yeah, like you said, some heavy hitters. I really think the one to watch in this is going to be Connor Parise. In that final spot, got the black flag. He was in second place, and one of the fastest guys, in iRacing in the short course discipline, and he's going to be coming from the last spot. You're going to see him take some chances, and he's going to have to. He's only got 5 laps, and there's only 3 spots. I think you're going to see a clinic of driving with Parise, and definitely the one I'm going to be keyed in on.
And this gives you a good look at just how wide they are, and you can see when they fire off, it's not, smooth like parts of the racetrack are. They're going to be going over humps and bumps in the road, and these trucks are going to be jumping side to side and rocking all over the place, and it is just going to inevitably lead to some chaos. You might be safe on the very inside. You might even be safe on the very outside, but watch for all those trucks in the dead center when this field compresses onto one another when we go sliding into what is turn number 5 and blend onto the racetrack Good luck. We've seen at least one truck upside down in all of the heat races so far here this afternoon, and now about to send 3 more drivers off and into the feature for the virtual Crandon International Off-Road Raceway. Trucks are fired, looking at the big green egg coming to green, and we're racing in LCQ number 1.
Look at that, bumping and banging already, getting turned almost completely sideways, able to keep it together. And whoa, we got one up and over. Look at that, yard sale is the number 74 of Michael Guest. Wow.
And they're not done yet. More trucks. Jim Dechamp just got flipped upside down. His night may be done just like that. Hernquist was also involved in contact at the start there. Mike Leroy got heavy engine damage and has taken that truck off and into the pits already. I said look for the middle. It is exactly where that chaos came from. And just like that, heavy hitters gone in the blink of an eye. But up front, Cody Retzlaff now leading this LCQ. Remember, only 3 make the show. Larson's in second, and William Booth right now occupies third. Working hard, this trio with Asian Company chasing down Kyle Cooper. It's for 6th on back. Cooper all the way to the K-rail on the outside. He gets into the Jersey barrier, throws away the spots. Both Vandenbush and Aish going to make the pass. And then up the road from them, the duo, is Connor Parise and Dave Bodio. They're now on board with Trey Hernquist a little bit further back in traffic. Looking up the road, trying to get around Kyle Long. Bit of a touch there. He tries to go underneath Long's Mode Motorsport 75, and they'll have a nice little drag race here in between turns 4 and 5. Again, a quiet afternoon for Cody Retzlaff, who didn't crumble to the pressure, continues to dominate and wins his LCQ race. So Retzlaff is into the feature. Nick Larson comes home in second, and William Booth just enough to hang on for third, and those 3 drivers will make the main event.
Yeah, what a heartbreaker for Connor Parise to finish in the 4th spot. Same with Dave Bodio. Both of them strong runs earlier in the evening, and just found themselves in the LCQ. Wasn't enough to make it home.
And don't go anywhere, folks. We're going feature racing at Crandon after this short break.
Take your driving to the next level at Dirtfish. Gain confidence behind the wheel of an all-wheel drive Subaru STI or rear-wheel drive BRZ. Get sideways with skills on gravel, mud, and tarmac. Dirtfish offers programs for every driver. Visit dirtfish.com for details.
We're looking at our General Tires starting grid. We have 24 trucks lined up, 3 rows deep, ready for a land rush start with the final feature race checkered flag of this 2022 Triple Crown on the line. There's a lot of big names, of course. A top 8 invert, you got to keep that in mind. So big names like Peterson, Drapkin, and Barry, they're all on the right-hand side of your screen right now on the front row. That's going to put them on the very outside, Jim, going into the first couple of corners. It's been crazy with a dozen trucks. We've got 24 ready to go racing as we look for the big green egg, green flag.
Yeah, green flag coming. Trav, I got to ask you, you're on the start line here at Crandon, getting ready to go. How do you get through that turn number 1?
Oh, it's a lot of luck, and definitely just getting through these bumps on the first bit. You see a lot of the trucks getting sideways there. Absolutely the scariest turn in racing right here.
There's not enough room. Several going to be into the outside wall. The 12 truck is up and over. Josh Fox tumbles out of the racetrack and off and into the grass. And somehow up front, it's actually your pole sitter, Jacob Raffos at the 013, who survives for an early lead in this 10-lap feature. 3 wide for second, though. And here comes the 2 of Sheldon Creed using the bumper.
iRacing definitely inspires confidence in turn 1. That's something you don't see a lot of big crashes there at Crandon for the Pro 4, the Pro 2 races. But man, this is just wild watching how precise these guys are.
Virtual courage, I think we've called it before, Jim.
Virtual courage. Absolutely. You see them work their way through. I just love the way they back it into these corners and they just hook up. All that horsepower, that all-wheel drive of these Pro 4s. Oh, man, it's exciting. They're driving these like you do the Gymkhana car, Trav.
No, absolutely. And honestly, the whole characteristics on this feels a lot like it does in real life. I mean, this is so cool to be able to watch these guys and how they throw it in. And really, you could probably take a lot of this and really put it to the real life. But then going in backwards in the Pro 4, you got all-wheel drive, 900 plus horsepower driving you out of these corners.
And clearly not afraid of tearing the trucks up. We got a couple of trucks on top of each other back there in the teens. Again, just so many trucks. It's a pretty wide racetrack, all things considered. But when you got 24 in there and these drivers are at times using those bumpers as a weapon, you're going to see some contact early. But lap number 1 almost in the books here. And the 013 is absolutely checking out, as the battle we watch right now is for about P4 on back. Briley, Waugh, Canup all doing battle. You got Keaton Swain, Nick Larson in the mix, and then some of your big sim racing names, Cam Peterson, Nicholas Dashlet, all in the midfield, trying to break through here, but it's just tricky with all the traffic that they're going through.
Yeah, you know, Peterson, one of the ones I'm surprised back there in the 9th spot, about 5 seconds back to the leader. Obviously got a lot of time here. We've got 8 laps to go, but Peterson, one of the guys you thought might be leading, or at least in the top 3 early on, he's finding himself having to fight through traffic.
Cam Peterson wins a lot of these races by being fastest in practice, winning a heat and dominating. But in traffic, he's certainly quick, but it's a very different skill, right? I mean, you can go out there on your own, Travis. When you guys were qualifying earlier, you kind of get your line set, you lock it down. Half the time when you're in a race, though, somebody's in your way. You have to adapt your line. You got to move around and race it in traffic. Certainly a very different art than hot lapping.
Without a doubt, watching Connor try to come through in that LCQ is absolutely amazing. It's so fast, but all of these drivers are so good. They're so spot on. And, you know, it's something with all of this power to be able to try to put that power down. You have to get up there on the cushion. You have to get off of the insides of the corners. This is probably the most technical track to actually get through the pack-in, and you'll be seeing a lot of these lap times very similar. So getting a good start is huge here.
We're on board with Trent Dinkle a little bit further back in the field, of fighting for what is 17th right now. So Trent did a good job of winning that second and final LCQ, but all he got as a reward was starting back on the 3rd row in the 20s on the land rush start. And he's got his hands full with the likes of Crystal King back there, Brian Clement. So a 3-way battle further back in traffic. But I mean, you can't really look anywhere on track but up front to find a gap. Everywhere you look, there's a 2-truck battle, a 3-truck battle. There's a spinner in front of this group that'll send Cody Retzlaff off of the racetrack. There he is, trying to blend himself back in. So for all of the chaos mid-pack, very surprised to see the advantage that the 03 Jim has gotten so early in this race by surviving the land rush and just getting away from all of that chaos on the opening lap.
Well, I think that's the key. When you can run away and hide at Crandon, you definitely want to do it. And we've seen that happen. But I got to tell you, I'm looking at, you know, top 5 here, you know, and especially the top 4, all about 3 seconds, you know, separating them. So it's still very, very close here. You know, and I think with, you know, 7 laps to go, we're going to see a little bit of excitement. Don't think we have seen the big one quite yet.
Almost too calm, it seems. Working lap number 3 of 10. And, you know, we talk about how, you know, this is a laser scanned replica of the real Crandon International Raceway. These trucks, this track accurate to a 1/4 of an inch in detail. We've talked to Blue Groove tonight. This dirt's going to wear in over the course of the race. You'll actually see that Blue Groove right there in the corner as the rubber gets put down. Change the characteristics, Travis. One thing you mentioned is that these guys are really trimmed out, right? The sim pros. They're not taking it easy. They're not really worried about their equipment. They're racing these trucks like they're virtual trucks, right? I mean, they have every corner thought out, every move thought out. They're certainly trimmed it out to get all the time they can out of these things.
Yeah, at the end of the day, most of this time that I gain in real life is by taking extra risk and being willing to do stuff that others aren't. The virtual world takes all of that away, and you'll actually see some of the best drivers in the world on the virtual racing. It's just a matter of you can take that and be able to adjust to the fear in the real world. But this track is spot on. The cars handle very, very similar. Like I said, with the exception of maybe that turn 2, jumping in there completely sideways and not worrying about flipping somehow. This is absolutely awesome. And just to see how well these drivers can do this, I would love to see a lot of these guys jump in at the Crandon for the Pro 4 weekend.
You can see Knup's getting away with a battle behind him. Let's take a look back at some of that chaos that we alluded to on the opening lap of this race. And watch again, Jim, this land rush start. 24 trucks trying to funnel in.
Yeah, 24 trying to funnel in. It just doesn't quite work. As we're looking at that, what is that, 6, 7 wide at one point as the 12 gets turned over, up, over. down, barrel rolling, pirouette, I don't know what you want to call it, into the Jumbotron.
Hey, Bell took it out.
I took the Jumbotron out. That would have been an expensive bill, virtual bill.
Fortunately, he's able to keep it rolling, but again, you get in a mistake like that, and your hopes of fighting up towards the front of the field are basically done. But, I mean, look at this battle for fifth. These are the drivers in the middle trying to break out, and Cam Peterson leads this group now in the 48 truck running in the number 6 position. He's ahead of the likes of Luke Cadup, Trenton Briley, Nick Larson, Adam Alderton there, 3 wide as they throw it into the hairpin corner there for turn number 4, and you can see they're almost using each other to steer. There's still no consensus on the best way through that corner there. Everybody trying something different. They all seem to kind of stack up on top of each other, and let's ride on board here on board with Keith Jeffrey in P11 and take a trip around.
No, Keith's been doing amazing, but I just been on board with Cameron Peterson. I mean, this guy is absolutely amazing. The way he's working through traffic, and it's so tough because the outsides are the fastest way around this track. But when you get on the inside, someone's going to come up. If you give up the inside, someone's going to come up and take you from it. So you're just watching 3-4 wide right behind. Cameron finally got around that battle. Let's see if he can move up.
On the other side of this break, the finish of the feature race and more from Crandon.
There's a place where fire and flavor are celebrated, where grilling traditions and new techniques are perfected. Here in Big Green Egg Country, you can grill it, roast it, smoke it, or bake it. It's the most versatile grill you'll ever own. Simple delight, easy to use, comes with a free lifetime warranty. Have it delivered to your door by a certified dealer in your community and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience. Shop online for home delivery at biggreenegg.com. That's biggreenegg.com.
It doesn't matter where you're from, who you grew up rooting for, what you grew up watching, your home track, your favorite car, the series you've always wanted to race in. When you're ready to know what it's like, we're here, bringing you as close to the action as it gets with the ultimate sim racing experience. With a community of hundreds of thousands just like you. This is iRacing, and here, every day is race day.
I guess that's a fair enough question, Travis. If you're in a battle, do you want to be the guy chasing the truck in front of you, or do you like being chased? I mean, is there really an answer at all here out on the dirt?
Not at Crandon. I tell you what, it's always good, obviously, to be out front. You get less roost, you get less of you can choose your own lines, but coming from behind, you have the option to really make them guard that line. As we see Cam right now going up against Sheldon is a really good example of, Sheldon's trying to kind of block Cam a little bit, but it's just not really working because the faster line is the outside.
A little bit of a heel click there in one of those battles is, I think it was Price and Larson might have tapped in the air, and they both almost went upside down and over. You talk about the battle between Cam Peterson and Sheldon Creed. That is the battle for the last spot inside the top 5 right now. And Luke Cadup actually making a pass on Peterson there to get himself back into the mix as well. I mean, you talk about the different backgrounds, and Sheldon Creed, somebody, Jim, who in these events has adapted so well to this stuff.
Yeah, and Sheldon cut his teeth racing short course as a kid. He came up through the short course ranks, and then, he transferred over into stock cars. And as we've seen, he's one of the top young up-and-coming NASCAR drivers in the country right now. So he's got a really good dirt background. He's been highly successful on the sim. Speaking of Sheldon, I was messaging him earlier, Trav, and he was telling me, he's like, I really want to battle Trav. And I start laughing because Sheldon and you, similar backgrounds, both you guys can drive anything. I'd actually like to see Sheldon Creed versus Travis Pastrana in the real world, buddy.
Yeah, because I mean, he could start behind me, but he'd still be 2 laps in front of me on the iRacing, unfortunately. But no, it'd be a good time. He's just, like I said, such a great all-around driver, and it's so cool to see this world where you have so many of the top drivers that do either come from sim or go from driving and use the sim as something extremely effective. See Sheldon going a little bit wide there, trying to use the cushion, gets a little bit too deep in there, but he punted Cam in that last corner, so I'd imagine Cam's going to come back and give it back to him.
They've been going back and forth for about 3 laps from now, and if they're not careful, if they keep scrapping with each other, Luke Cadup, another driver, super talented young kid who's had a lot of success in these Triple Crown races, is going to jump right into the conversation to get there. And now taking a look at Cam Peterson's General Tire 48 truck. He's still in P6. He's tried a couple times to crack the top 5. Sheldon Creed has held his ground so far, and behind them you can see Luke Cadup making this a 3-way battle as they go down that back straightaway and look for turn 4.
tree turn's really interesting. Watch how they come in super, super wide. You want a good drive down the next straightaway, but it's really easy to get inside and make a pass there. So definitely, I love Crandon. I love how it just opens up the insides. It's such a fun racetrack. It's such a fast racetrack, and it's such a scary racetrack.
And decent discipline that last time, right? They all took the outside. They all set it up for the long game. If we get to the white flag lap, I'm expecting somebody to throw it up the inside there.
Yeah, well, they also don't want to lose ground on the racers in front of them. Everyone's still out there to win. So you work with each other until that final lap when you know you can't get any further up. You see Sheldon going a little bit wide there. He's really trying to get these exits, really trusting the guys behind him, but that's not going to last here in a lap or two.
Looking for the white flag with 1 lap to go. Let's take a second look at what happened with Bodie Cryer on board here. The 23 truck up the road, the 802, and you can see as all of this fighting was going on in front, made a slide to the inside and a bit of a touch and up and over. We've seen a couple of drivers actually use that burb on the inside to flip those trucks, Jim. That one, I think, was a little bit of help.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of help there, but no harm, no foul at this point. You know, you got a lap, 2 laps left at Crandon. You got to do what you got to do. You got to try and make something happen, and that's what we saw there. But, you know, we're looking at Edmondson and Rafus there, 2 seconds separating, you know, our leader from the second place. I don't think Edmondson's going to have a shot. Edmondson, one of the fastest, you know, here in the sim, but I think that 013 truck, I think he's got it pretty much locked away at this point.
I'd say Edmondson's not giving up, though. He just launched that corner further than I've seen anyone. Bounced almost to the wall. He is going for it.
He's trying. He's got a 10th here, a 10th there. But the problem is I think Josh Edmondson is going to run out of time because Jacob Raffos has only got 1 corner to go. He goes through the right-hander. He will lead all 10 laps, and Raffos wins the General Tire eShort Course Triple Crown at Crandon. Looking behind in third, Keaton Swain hangs on for that position. And then behind on the battle, Creed challenged by Peterson. But Sheldon Creed survives and holds off one of the very best in the virtual world to steal that top 5 spot.
Wow, what a great race. You know, we had a little bit of carnage, but all in all, leaders racing each other really clean. That's what you like to see. But, man, you know, that 13 truck, you know, got out front, just never looked back all night long.
Super consistent. We saw some of the big names struggle, but I think on that 10-lap race, giving them a little bit more laps, Travis certainly gave some of the guys like Cam Peterson, you mentioned, fight back from a slow start and get some pretty good finishing spots.
It's just amazing how aggressive and how consistent all these drivers are. I mean, you know, it's absolutely awesome to watch these guys, and honestly, definitely going to come and probably take some advice from guys like Sheldon Creed before going back there and racing in the real world here is coming up shortly. I know there's a lot to learn from these guys.
Let's take a look at your General Tire full race results from this feature race in an incredible 2.6 second gap back to Josh Edmondson as Jacob Raffos takes home the win here from Crandon. You got Keaton Swain on the podium. We'll do our best to talk with those drivers in just a little bit with Waugh, Creed, Peterson, Canutt, Briley, Alderton, and Price, Jim, our top 10.
Yeah, we've got Keith Jeffrey in the 88 and the 11th spot, Larson, Cryer, Dinkle, Crystal King battling back to 15th, Retzloff, Miller, Clement, Kirkmeyer, and Dashlet in the top 20.
And then Drapkin, Booth, Barry, and Fox will round out your field of 24. And Travis, thanks for hanging out with us and talking through this feature race. It was fun to watch you on track and appreciate your insights up top.
Hey, definitely. Thank you for having me on. Going to keep practicing, and we'll be back. Thanks a lot, Jim.
All right. Thanks a lot, Trav. Talk soon, buddy.
Will do.
Looking forward to seeing you back on track when we do it all again in 2023. We'll take a quick opportunity to step aside. When we come back, we'll talk with your top finishers. It is Jacob Raffos, your feature race winner from Crandon. You're watching a special presentation of iRacing on CBS Sports.
The sun is so bad.
I fully agree. The glare right now is insane.
You know, maybe we do like at like a sunset.
Sunset
duel. Yes.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It'll be so purple out until the blood runs through the streets.
It ain't just a bourbon. It's a damn fistful.
General Tire was born more than 100 years ago, right here in America. We've spent the last century tackling every kind of road this country has to offer, and especially the places without roads. So you know that with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
And back live at iRacing's virtual Crandon International Off-Road Raceway, where we have concluded the third and final race in this 2022 General Tire eShort Course Triple Crown, fueled by Fistful of Bourbon. Let's go trackside. Tiffany Stone's with our feature race winner.
First off, a big congratulations to you. You led all 10 laps, had clean air all the way throughout. Walk us through how your evening went for you.
Yeah, oh my God. That was crazy. I didn't expect to win here, but I'll take it. Heat 2 was quite hectic. I was think I was a bit in a contact, and then that and well, I climbed up to third place, yeah, and got pulled for a feature.
Wonderful. Well, we always talk about the infamous turn 1. That's going to be where you're going to make it or break it type spot. Walk us through how turn 1 was for you, especially having so many different vehicles on either side of you going into that land rush start.
I just pray to God I had a good start, but going into turn 1 was quite clean, and I didn't get hit by anyone, I think, and I just kind of ran away. Everyone behind just contacted a bit.
Wonderful. Well, I know you got to thank a few people for helping you bring here today, and of course taking that top spot tonight.
Yeah, I thank Jim Beaver Esports, Josh Edmondson, Corporacy, and all those truck guys, and for sure my potatoes and sauce for helping me tonight.
Perfect. Well, another big congratulations to you. And going to our second place, we've chatted before. When we're talking about all of this, obviously, Josh Edmondson, you are a Pro 2 winner here for the World Cup as well for 2022. Walk us through what's the difference between a Pro 2 and a Pro 4 for you.
More at home in the Pro 2. I like the little more throttle control it takes, and it's a little more separates the drivers. I feel like the competition's always a little closer in these Pro 4s, but it was a blast today. These Pro 4s at Crandon are some of the funnest things to drive on iRacing for sure.
And talking about that, obviously we've seen Pro 4s race at Crandon. A lot of Blue Groove comes in. We've also talked about Argonne and the gravel pit. For you, what's going to be the most difficult part that you had tonight, especially since you said you feel more comfortable in a Pro 2?
The start was key here tonight. The inverts and everything playing, starting in the back of my heat race, and then I ran into some trouble there. So I was starting second row for the feature, and to be able to come out in the top 3 or so, actually out of the first few corners was big for me to be able to stay up front. Didn't have anything for Jacob though up front. Once I got into second and got clean air, he had already put a gap on there, and he just maintained it. So I'm happy with second for tonight.
Awesome. Well, I know you got to thank a few people for helping you get on the second place box. All right, and going to our third place finisher, Keaton. Keaton, it was so great to have you out here. You had the likes of Travis Pastrana pretty much calling some plays for that last main race. How are you feeling overall tonight?
Yeah, I feel good. Obviously, to come away with a third is good. Felt like we had pace to do better, but with so many trucks in the field and a land rush start, things always don't go your way. So, just to come up with the podium, I'm pretty happy with it.
And coming out of turn 1, Travis was mentioning how in reality, turn 2 coming out of there is crazy. You'd never hit that section as fast as you are going into that barn turn. What's it like for you coming out of turn 1, hitting that section, going straight into the barn turn?
Yeah, it's definitely chaotic there on the start. You just got to kind of mind your P's and Q's and try to get through it as clean as possible, and not barrel roll out onto the highway. So luckily we were able to do that, keep it somewhat clean. Obviously try to do my best to not run anyone over, but everyone kept it pretty clean there, and I just kind of made some decent moves to get back towards the front, and I think we were faster than the guys in front of us, but just ran out of time. So definitely happy with third.
Well, I know you got to thank a few people. Who would you like to thank tonight?
Yeah, I just got to thank Appliance Parts Company, Factory Sim Sport, Sim Coach Pedals, everyone that helps put this event on, all the Jim Beaver sponsors that help support this little deal, and obviously all you guys for doing the broadcast and making us look good out there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you once again.
Thank you.
Well, a big thanks to all of our top finishers for sticking around and chatting with us. And we questioned coming into the start of the night here, Jimmy, how many different drivers we've seen find success, right? Josh Edmondson and Connor Berry in the World Cup. Steven Wilson, when we went racing at Belle Isle last time out in the Pro 2s. Now, Jakob Raffos becomes the fourth different person to win here in eShort course in 2022. I think that just goes to show how ultra competitive this virtual form of motorsports is. However, in that feature, wasn't that competitive. He put down an absolutely perfect race and looked pretty untouchable.
He definitely was untouchable. And I think that's what I love about this is we've got our favorites. We've got the guys and the girls that we think are going to run up front, got a potential to win. But Raffos comes in, surprises us. I got to say, none of us probably had him picked to win, and he came in and just spanked everybody. And his name's on the map now. He's got a target on his back. Everybody knows who he is. And I got to tell you, they're going to come guns a-blazing next season to try and take him down.
And of course, we round out another year of this eShort course Triple Crown brought to you by our great partners at General Tire and Fistful of Bourbon. And I think another successful year, Jim, that continues to show that this esports and virtual racing scene continues to grow. And we saw absolutely great racing with all the real world pros as well showing out, especially tonight. More than 50 drivers contesting tonight alone. Just goes to show you how awesome this is. And for everybody tuning in at home, it's easy for them to get involved as well at iRacing.com, up to 40% off all new memberships.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I think is amazing about the iRacing service. It allows people home who watch these legendary tracks, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Daytona, Crandon, and they can go at home and log in, get a membership at 40% off, get a pedal set up and a steering wheel and go and race some of these amazing places that they've only seen on TV or maybe visited as a fan before.
There are so many different possibilities from eShort course to everything else motorsports in the world. You can do it all here on iRacing. At least for tonight, though, and at least for this 2022 Triple Crown, that is it for us here from Crandon, Wisconsin. On behalf of our entire team at iRacing, Jim Beaver Esports, for everybody else involved, and for your broadcast team tonight, for Tiffany Stone down trackside, for Jim Beaver, and for myself, Evan Posocco, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Jakob Raffos for his first career win in the General Tire eShort course Triple Crown, fueled by Fistful of Bourbon. We'll catch you next time for more iRacing.